Hey guys, thanks for joining me for part 2 of our presentation on shadows. I got a question from you. I love questions, so be sure to leave your questions and comments below. Or better yet, join us on the Discord, link in the description below. I got a question about shadows, and we started with a cube, and we're continuing with a sphere and round objects. So tune in, get ready, we're gonna start drawing. If it's your first time, hit subscribe, turn on alerts, all that good stuff, so you'll know when we go live next. We go live mostly daily here on the channel, so you'll want to make sure those alerts are turned on. Alright, so with that, we're gonna jump right in. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you at the end of the video. Alright, so let's do a sphere. Nope, that's my finger on the screen. Alright, so let's say I have a circle. Okay, that is freehand, by the way. Let's say I have a circle. Normally when you have a shadow for a sphere, you'll see someone do something like this. But why is that? Why does it look that way? I think that's the question, right? So, that being said, let's make a new layer here, and we'll do all the construction stuff on top. So, here's one thing you need to understand. No matter where I cut this sphere, okay, no matter where I cut this sphere, this profile, I'm like teaching you guys way too much stuff today. Just kidding. If you need more information, you can always hire me to teach you, either one-on-one or in a workshop. Okay, so no matter where I cut this, right, if I'm looking at my sphere and I were to make cuts, I'm gonna get another circle, right? Even if I were looking this way and I then cut my sphere, right, this profile right here, that's gonna also be a circle. So it'll always be a circle. Okay, why is that important? Well, think of it this way. If I find the center, if I find the center of this sphere, right, I can still draw a line like this. It looks like it's in 2D right now. Okay, but this is, let's say this is the center of the sphere, right? Because I could draw an ellipse like this, and I could draw an ellipse like this. Maybe that'll make you feel better. But that is the center of the sphere in perspective, all right? Now, this is the widest point on the sphere, okay? At this point, if I were shining a light, like if I had a flashlight, and it was shining light here, but it's a sun-powered flashlight, so it's like the sun, right? So I have parallel light rays, right? At a certain point on this sphere, the light rays won't be able to pass through, right? So in 3D, now remember this line carries around. So in 3D, at this point, everything on this side is in shadow, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this is all shadow. Stick with me here because this will make sense. All right, so there's our shadow. Now, what if, you know, there's a ground plane here, for example. Okay, there's some ground plane, meaning some surface that this sphere is resting on. Okay, a certain distance from the center of this sphere and up, you know, whatever we decide is going to be the sun. Okay, because I'm just going to do parallel light rays here. All right, Roshan says I'm stuck. I just witnessed that circle. Hello, El Blondie 69. Roshan, by the way, I sent someone your way, well, to your partner's way for a workshop, so in Europe. So look out for that. Okay, so somewhere from the center, okay, and if I drop the center down, okay, remember there's ellipses here that get progressively smaller and smaller and smaller. So one could say this is the point of contact on this ellipse, or I suppose a bit more overlap here. Somewhere in here there's a point of contact, right? So over to this point and then up, we've got the sun. All right, multiple light points. You just need to do this exercise I'm doing with multiple lights. Okay, so I'm going to show you here how this works. All right, so again, going back to our previous image, there's a certain halfway point. Okay, there's a certain halfway point on this sphere where light will not pass. Okay, something like that. Okay, if we just had one light source. So that being said, I can use that cross section, right? I just have to determine, okay, what's the angle? Oops. What's the angle of the light? So let's just say it's this, for example, right? Something like this. And I'm just going to draw some parallel lines here. Okay, so again, if this is a circle from the center, right here and here is where we're going to have just shadow happening. Okay, and depending on your point of view, we can just sketch a nice ellipse here. Depending on your point of view, that would essentially be the cross section at that point. Okay, so to figure out the shadow and the projection on the ground, what we actually have to do, let's make a new layer here, but I'll use this as a guide. Let's duplicate my ellipse here for my cross section. All right, so at this point, what I need to do, okay, we're on the right layer. There's the center of my sphere. And just for reference sake, I'm going to lower the opacity here so we can kind of track what we're doing. All right. Hello, Abrar, automotive designer. Welcome, welcome. Roshan, I blew your brain up with that one, huh? So this is where it gets a little complex and potentially messy in terms of the drawing. So I'm going to switch color again. All right. One thing we can do is we can split the circle into, let's say, 8 points. Something like this. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and split this circle. So now I have 1, 2, 3. And it really doesn't matter so much where the points are, but this one's a little bit off. So I'm going to change that. But you'll see it doesn't really matter that much where these points are. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this cross section almost like, and this is why I usually start with a cylinder here, because understanding how to project the shadow from a cylinder helps you project the shadow for a sphere. Because on a cylinder, what you try to do is get the corresponding top and bottom points on this cylinder and then project. Okay, and that's your first point. That would be your second point, and so forth. And eventually what you'll notice is essentially you have an ellipse. Okay, if I were to project all these points and connect with curves. So similarly here, what I would do is project down, find the ellipse, right, that determines this bottom, and then project all these lines down, okay? Just like so, because we're essentially taking this top shape and trying to find, okay, where is the corresponding point? So like I said, here's the direction of our light. So let's use, what time are we at? Okay. I think we'll be all right. I may have to just do the unicycle, and that's it. All right, so still using my brushes here. And so now I get to decide, all right, in relation to my sphere, right, the sun is a certain height, but also what is the position related to the center of the sphere from a top-down view. This is a gerbil ball. So I'm just going to pick an angle here. Let's go these 2 points, 1, 2, and now I can pick an angle, okay? But I just need to make sure I'm drawing parallel lines, okay, as much as I can here. And some of these points may overlap or feel like they're overlapping. That's okay. All right, I'm just going to draw all of these out. Like so, like so, like so. And now we have the messy work of figuring out, okay, point connects there from here, right? Just finding, okay, where are all these connecting points to? We've got this one here. 3. Okay, that feels weird. I'm gonna use that point. So right here, 3, and then 4, 5. All right. So essentially what you're going to end up with is something like this. If you were to do it the correct way, which I'm not really right now, and here you can see this front edge actually pushes in a little bit. All right, so this would essentially be the shadow in this certain position that I'm in of the sphere. So with a bit more accuracy, you can do this activity and come up with the shadow of your sphere. So if I had another light source, someone had asked, okay, I have another light source here. Well, I'll just have to do the same thing, and you could shade in the secondary shadow a little softer. All right, you could shade it in a little softer. So that's how you figure out, sorry lines, it is involved. But that's how you figure out the shadow on a curved object. You take that learning from a cylinder, and I would suggest going through this activity a couple times, and then you're able to figure out, oh, that is how the shadow happens on a curved object. All right, well, what if you had some weird blob, right, and it's resting on a surface? How do you do that? Well, you just kind of have to think, okay, what's the cross section here? Okay, and how do I, and you don't even have to, it doesn't have to be geometrically, shall we say, rational, right? It's just, okay, down to the ground surface, what would these points be? And then I can project through these points, right? And get a series of shapes. Okay, so that's essentially how you would do it. Okay, you can even see here as I start to, okay, maybe think of this as an ellipse, just to guide where I put this point. But you can kind of see, oh, that's how this shadow might be, right? We got something interesting happening right there, but that's how you kind of work it out. Okay, so there's a rhyme and reason to how you do this, more than just, oh, I'm just gonna throw something down. Sometimes a shorthand for a sphere, though, is really just, you know, throw an ellipse down. And this is assuming the light source is directly in front of the sphere, not off to the side, this way or this way, because the shape would kind of change depending on the position. But this is a little bit of shorthand for just drawing that in. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you were able to learn something. If you learned something, definitely share something. More importantly, be kind. Remember, passion is the process. That's what we do here. Thanks for being a part of it. Tell your mama, your kids, your wife, your friends, everyone about Sketchaday. If you like what you saw, hit subscribe, turn on alerts, and definitely come say on the socials. I am at sketchaday.com on Instagram and at Daily Sketches on Twitter. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time, hopefully live right here on Sketchaday.